hear this noise, and I'm a bit of a drone enthusiast. I've got one myself. Um, and so I hear this noise and I'm like, oh my gosh, is that a Mavic Pro?
Hi, everybody. Sam here with a little bit of a special report for you all today. I'm joined right now by New Zealand and Melbourne City defender Rebekah Stott, who was in Paris representing the football Ferns, who sadly went home after the group stage. Rebekah, welcome to the women's game. Thank you so much for being here.
No, thanks for having me.
I am really excited to talk to you. So, what I want to talk about is the Canada drone situation. So, days before the Olympics kicked off, the New Zealand national team reported to French police that a drone was flying overhead during your training session. New Zealand was set to face Canada just 3 days later, and the drone ended up being traced back to Canadian staff member Joseph Lombardi. And a lot of information has come out since then, including that using drones to spy on opposition is a practice that has actually run deeply through the Canadian Federation for years. Head coach Bev Priestman was sent home from the tournament and suspended from soccer for a year. And then the Canadian national team was deducted 6 points in their group stage play at the Olympics. Meanwhile, New Zealand and Canada had to play each other just days after this incident occurred on July 25th. Canada ended up winning the game 2-1 and then earning their way through the group stage and moving on to the quarterfinal. So, Rebekah, I want you to start by setting the scene for us. You're at the Olympics, you're out at training in France, and you have a game coming up against Canada. What was the first thing you noticed that was a little bit out of the ordinary?
I mean, if we were just doing like throw-ins or something like that, and I was just kind of waiting for Ali Riley to throw me the ball, and then I hear this noise, and I'm a bit of a drone enthusiast. I've got one myself. Um, and so I hear this noise, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is that a Mavic Pro? Anyway, so I look up to my left, and sure enough, there's a freaking drone there. Um, and I was like, what? And then I turned to our coach, and I was like, oh, there's a drone. And he was kind of like, what? Anyway, so he went off and talked to our manager who got the security and was like, oh, there's a drone there. And it didn't fly away. It was kind of just hanging around. It went a bit higher.
How high above you was it?
I'm going to say it was around, I don't know, 70 meters maybe. But then it started to fly away when it kind of saw us notice it. Like it went higher and then you couldn't hear it anymore. Anyway, so they kind of went to security and like, there's a drone, there's a drone. Um, and then they were like, oh yeah, it's going away now, it's going away now. And we are like, no. Anyway, so they talked to the security and the cops that were on the other side of the road. Um, Anyway, we carried on training because it wasn't like in sight, and then we saw it slowly start to go down, but it was going down really close. Like it was on top of the hill, just on the road, which we drove past on the way to training.
Did at any point yet were you like, is somebody spying on our training?
Well, I mean, to be a drone over our training session, we were pretty like sure that it was going to be a team. Obviously didn't know which team, but I mean, I don't think it's not like a beautiful area, so it wasn't like there's going to be
It
a
wasn't like
random
a
drone.
scenery drone.
No, no, absolutely not.
And with your kind of inside knowledge of drones, which Ali Riley actually told me, and you just admitted yourself you're a bit of a drone enthusiast, were you kind of like the expert on this situation? Like, were you kind of like, this is what it is? They're definitely getting footage. Were people coming to you because you kind of spotted it and knew about it?
No, I wish, but they weren't. They kind of just took it to security, and then I didn't have any say. But I mean, when it started coming down, we were like, "Oh my gosh, it's coming!" But then we saw the security and the cops on the other side. The cops on a motorbike went, "Vroom," and then like security was running up this hill, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, they're going to get it!" And then we heard when we got back to the hotel that they caught the guy, and so we were like, "What?" And then they said that it was someone from Canada, and we were like, "Oh my gosh!" And so we were like, "How is this just happened right next to our training?" Like it was wild. It was so wild.
So you find out that Canada is responsible, and how did you guys feel? Like, were you thinking about this person? Were you thinking about your game? Like, what was your emotional reaction?
I mean, it was kind of like a bit unsettling because obviously they had seen that whole training session. And then we found out later that they had seen another training session. So it was pretty tough. Like they obviously have seen what we're doing, and a few days before the game, we're working on tactics, of course. So, I mean, it's quite yeah, it was pretty bad.
When you say it was unsettling, like, did you have a team meeting about it? Were you talking about it in small groups? Did you start to think about your game against Canada and be like, they're going to know everything we're trying to do? They're going to know our set pieces?
Yeah, obviously, like we sat down as a team, and the coaches and the staff like kind of said they have seen our training sessions. Obviously, it puts us in not a great situation because they have that kind of benefit of seeing it. And there was obviously a lot of chitter chat around it. But I mean, we just had to carry on and do what we were prepared to do, I guess, for that game. It's too late to change anything.
Yeah, I guess from our perspective on the outside, like that was when more and more information started to come through. Like we started hearing, oh, maybe this has been going on for a while. Bev Priestman recused herself from the game, but then got sent home. Like as you were building up to your game, how much information did you have, and what were you guys feeling about the fairness of the game?
Mm. Um, we were unsure, like we did not have much information at all, probably just what everyone else has heard. So obviously we were trying to fight it to get points for that game because we were at a disadvantage. And I don't think it was until we got to the next place, Leon, after that first game, was then we found out that they had been deducted 6 points and nothing for us. So it was a bit of a weird time and kind of like not knowing what's going to happen, but still having to prepare for another game as well.
Right. During your Canada game, which unfortunately you guys ended up losing 2-1, was this situation in the back of your mind during the game while you were playing?
No, of course not. I mean, I think you would know, like playing professional football, like you're just focused on the game at hand. Like you have no time to think about anything else, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of my conversations around this and a lot of what I've heard focused a lot on, yes, a frustration with the Canadian Federation for letting this happen and committing to do this kind of unethical or unsportsmanlike behavior. But I think there has been a lot of empathy for the players who, when they have spoken out and said that they had no idea and they were not involved at all, most of us believe them because they are such a pinnacle of the sport and, to our knowledge, they're all such wonderful people. Um, I want to know if any of your New Zealand teammates or you, do you have relationships with the Canadian players? Did you guys communicate with them at all? And what was it like for you as players to deal with this and to watch them deal with it?
Yeah, I've played with a couple of them before, like Kaylin Sheridan and Lizzie Ann Peru. So and Janine Becky. So I talked to them before the game and I was kind of like, wow, this is crazy. And they're like, we're so sorry, but we had no idea. I think like you just have sympathy for them. Like, yeah, they are not involved in this, but
Right,
at the same time, their federation has done this. So
right.
they do benefit from it. I think it put them in such a terrible position. But I mean, kudos to them. They got that 6 point deduction and they were able to battle and get 9 points from that to get them through. Like, I think they did incredibly well without their head coach, their analyst, their assistant coach. I think, yeah, through that diversity, like it all came together for them. So you,
Yeah,
you
for
do
sure.
feel for them, but they've done
Right.
well.
Sorry, I have to go try to see what my dog's barking at. Will mute it out while you were talking. Just give me 30 seconds. I'm really, really sorry. Finn. Hey, buddy. Okay. I hear you and I agree. I think at once it's possible to feel empathy for the players and frustration and anger at the federation for putting them in that position. This is kind of a hard question, but do you think that a 6 point deduction was the right punishment?
Um, I think for them, like, yeah, probably. But I feel like we got hard done by. Obviously, we were at a disadvantage for that game, so I thought we should have got something from that. Um, But yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one, eh?
Yes, I feel similarly. Like, I think a 6 point deduction was obviously a huge hole to dig out of, and I credit the players for being able to get out of it. And then I feel like they must have just been so mentally exhausted by the time the quarterfinal came around. So yeah, I think my last question would be your New Zealand team. Obviously, you said you were hard done by this whole situation. Like, what do you think would be is there more needed here? Like, is there more investigation? What do you feel like would be like justice in this situation?
I mean, I think it's done now. Like, we can't benefit from that. We got knocked out. So I think they just need to make some serious rules around this of what happens if someone does get caught doing this, for kind of any competition. Because yeah, I mean, I think it was so weird having to go through that while we're still competing. So if it is like a black and white rule where that happens, okay, this is what happens. I have a funny story for you if you want to hear it.
I do want to hear it. We be recording it?
Maybe.
Okay, hit me with it.
So after our game against Canada, our liaison comes into our change room and goes, "Oh, the cops who caught the drone guy want something from your team." Anyway, so I was like, "I want to take it." Anyway, so we got a ball and we all signed it. And then I went outside, and the cop who caught the guy actually was out there, and so I got a nice photo with him. And he's like, "Oh,
Oh,
do you want a job? You can join our drone squad."
oh my gosh. Wait, is that because he knew you were like a drone expert?
I don't know, because I pointed him to it.
Wow, you were like the assistant.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Wait, what do you do with your drone?
I've got these like goggles, so it's like FPV, which is first person vision, and so it goes like crazy, and you're seeing exactly what the drone's seeing. It's pretty fun.
And you just like fly it over like what?
Water, around some horses, just
Cool.
whatever, really.
Oh, that is pretty cool. I know nothing about drones, clearly.
They're loud.
But that's so cool.
Yeah.
They're loud. Well, yeah, loud enough to be noticed. Really crazy. Obviously, I'm so sorry that your Olympics ended, but we did hear that you're enjoying some time in Greece. Are you like on a little vacation?
Yeah, just a couple of days off, which is nice, and then I head back to Australia, which will be good.
Well, that's amazing. Congratulations on your participation in the Olympics. I'm really sorry for your team that there was this weird cloud over it the whole time, but I know you all always make New Zealand proud, and it was really great to talk to you today.
Thank you so much.